What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video. And welcome to another review for the 31 Days of Horror Challenge in October. Now we are on day 3 of the marathon of horror films. Just coming off of reviewing the original Maniac, I figured I'd stick, and of course so far I've been reviewing a lot of 80s horror films, because like Alone in the Dark was 82, Maniac was 80, and here's another one that was from 82. And this time, it's sort of a film that doesn't get talked about that much when it comes to like 80s horror films, and it's really a film in general, not just like horror, but like a film in general that doesn't get ever talked about at all. And that review, of course, is going to be on Death Valley. Not even a scream escapes. But Death Valley, like I said, came out in 1982. Directed by Dick Richards, who sadly did not really direct a whole lot after this film. I think he directed like maybe 3 other films. I know he did a film called Heat, not to be confused with the Michael Mann Heat, but he did another. It was another film called Heat in '86, with I think Burt Reynolds. I think Karen Young was in there. Peter MacNicol, who was in Ghostbusters 2 and the Addams Family Values and the Mr. Bean movie, and I think it also had Howard Hessman from Head of the Class in there as well. And that was the last one that he directed in 1986, which is sad, because I think he did a really good job directing this. Now, from the look of it, like you can see, like there's a serial killer in the eye, the glasses, and it's not really a slasher. There are a tiny bits of elements of gore, but it's definitely more of a thriller in a way. Now, the basic idea with the film is that you have this little kid named it doesn't say the kid's name. Shoot, I don't remember the kid's name, but that kid looks familiar on the cover. That is Peter Billingsley, Ralphie from A Christmas Story. This was a year before he did A Christmas Story. So yes, Ralphie is the star of the film, Peter Billingsley. And his parents are divorced. He's in the beginning of the film. He's with his dad, played by Edward Herrmann. Edward Herrmann, that's an actor I miss from Max and the Lost Boys, Overboard, the original Overboard. I literally hate this fucking camera. Now I gotta splice these fucking clips together like a fucking idiot. There we go. So like I was saying, Edward Herrmann, Max from the Lost Boys, and the original Overboard, and the dad and Richie Rich. Always been a big fan of Edward Herrmann. I miss Edward Herrmann. Basically, he's at the very beginning. Him and his wife are divorced. Their son is Peter Billingsley, and he doesn't want to leave his dad, but his dad says, "Hey, your mom's over here. She wants to spend some time with you. She has a new boyfriend," and things like that. The kid's mom is Catherine Hicks, way before Child's Play, where she played the mom in Child's Play. And her boyfriend is played by Paul Le Mat from the first Puppet Master movie. Now, his mother and her boyfriend, they're going to take Peter Billingsley along with them in this vacation through Arizona. Hence the title Death Valley, because it's near the desert. And while they're out there, there happens to be a serial killer on the loose. Now, there's a point in the film where they see a car go by and they don't think anything of it, and then there comes a point where the kid wanders off. Peter Billingsley wanders off in this one area that they're in, and a few scenes before that, actually, they saw this RV with this couple that got killed in this RV. The boyfriend gets his throat slit in the RV, and the girl gets killed off screen by the killer. And then a few scenes later, they see the same RV. Peter Billingsley wanders off into the RV because there's no one in there, and he finds this necklace, and he takes it with him. Little does he know that that necklace belongs to the killer, which is this guy here in the can't really see him, but there he is. And that the killer is Stephen McHattie from Beverly Hills Cop 3. He was the narrator in Basketball. So a very early role for Stephen McHattie. And basically from there, because this kid has this necklace, this killer wants to kill a little kid, wants to kill Peter Billingsley, pretty much. It's about a serial killer wanting to kill a little kid. Pretty ballsy idea for a horror film. And that's pretty much the entire premise of the film. It's sort of like a cat and mouse game where Catherine Hicks is trying to, and the boyfriend are trying to protect Peter Billingsley and things like that. And other cast members in the film, not only, like I said, you have Paul Le Mat, you have Catherine Hicks, Stephen McHattie, Peter Billingsley, Edward Herrmann. You also have Wilford Brimley, may he rest in peace, in a very, very small, tiny role as a sheriff. Of course, Wilford Brimley from John Carpenter's The Thing, a lot of other stuff as well. I think he was in Cocoon. Like I say, legendary actor, has been in a lot of stuff. May he rest in peace. He's not really in it a whole lot, and he does get killed by Stephen McHattie, so not really a big role for Wilford Brimley, but it was still nice to see him in there. Now, what makes the film work, first off, is the cast of characters. I really do think Peter Billingsley did a great job as the kid. Granted, like, you know, he's very dismissive toward the new boyfriend of his mom, Catherine Hicks. He's not really that fond at first of Paul Le Mat's character, but as time goes on, they start to bond with each other, and then there's a reason why there's like an arc to that, so they kind of build on that, which is nice. And Peter Billingsley eventually accepts Paul Le Mat, and they become friends with each other, which is nice. So I really do enjoy Peter Billingsley as the kid. I really like Paul Le Mat as the boyfriend. You know, nice little small role, like I said, by Wilford Brimley. It was nice to see Edward Herrmann in a small role. Catherine Hicks does a good job as the mom. I would say, besides Peter Billingsley, I say the other standout of the film is Stephen McHattie as the killer. And you eventually find out that killer is a pair of brothers. And there's another twist in there with those pair of brothers who are killers, but I'm not going to say what the twist is. But you find out early on that it's a pair of brothers. Because Stephen McHattie's like, oh my god, like, you know, this necklace, like, my brother has a very similar necklace like that, and someone must have taken it, and it was Peter Billingsley. And one of the other things, too, I really like about the film, too, how smartly written the film is, because there's even a point where when Peter Billingsley goes up to Wilford Brimley and he tells him everything, he gives the necklace back and he tells him everything that he knows and things like that. Kind of makes you feel sorry for Peter Billingsley, you know, because he doesn't, didn't really think anything of it because he didn't even know about a killer and things like that. So I like how they make the kid very likable and you feel sorry for him, and just Peter Billingsley just gives a wonderful performance. I really love the location that they shot this in within the deserts of Arizona. Sort of has like that isolated feeling of being out in the middle of the open and things like that. I love the whole finale with the killer, which kind of plays into the twist. I'm not going to say what it is, of course, but like that's for you to find out for yourself. But and it's not an overly gory film. It's not a bloody film at all. There's maybe a couple bits of gore, but it's not like very gory at all. It's more of a thriller. So if you're going to think this is like, oh, like a serial killer, it's probably a slasher film. No, it's not that at all. It's definitely more of a cat and mouse game thriller between this kid and the killer, pretty much. Granted, like, you know, Wilford Brimley does get killed. You do see that. Like the couple in the RV, they get killed. Well, you see the guy get killed. You don't see the girl get killed. She gets killed off screen, but still. Like I said, it's not. Like I said, that's why I said it's not really an overly gory movie. But like I said, another thing I really like too is the musical score. I want to see Dana Kaproff. A very solid score, very synthy, 80s music. I really like the vibe of the music. It's eerie. and it definitely fits the location of Arizona, like the deserts and things like that. Yeah, this is like one of those films that does not get brought up at all, and I think it's a pretty solid horror film dealing with a killer. But if you really want to see, if you want to see another really good '80s horror film that people don't bring up much, sort of like Alone in the Dark and things like that, I would highly recommend you check this out. And if you're a big fan of like Christmas Story, and if you want to see Peter Billingsley in an early role before that, definitely give this a look. And even if you like people like Wilford Brimley, Edward Herrmann, Catherine Hicks, Paul Lamont, if you're a big like Puppet Master fan, it was cool to see him in this. I thought it was directed very well by Dick Richards. Sadly, I wish he got to do more films, but sadly he didn't. I know Dick Richards actually, the same year as this, actually, I think was a producer on Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman, I believe, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, if you want to see a pretty like a good psychological, not like psychological, but like a thriller horror film, I think Death Valley is one that's definitely worth a look. So that's pretty much it for my review for Death Valley. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned for the next review for Day 4.